Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how I did the Kinect networking using Photon and Playmaker, and I'll also show you a new solution that I'm using Bolt network solution, which is new to Unity and is still in development stages. So what I'm doing is I'm actually showing you the setup that I have, which is the Kinect. So you'll need, first of all, you need the Photon solution, which you can get from the asset store. This is just showing you the website where you can also find more information. You need the Kinect solution. You can use my Playmaker stuff if you want to, and then you can also get the Kinect extras if you want to do voice and any other fancy stuff. You will need Playmaker. It's 50% off at the moment, but as a student you can get it for 50% off as well, and they do educational discount bundles if your university or college or school or business or whatever it wants to use it. So if you go to the Playmaker website, you can find the standard Unity sort of networking solution for Playmaker. They have a tutorial on there, but if you search Playmaker and Photon, you can find information about what I basically did the networking for. So you'll find a demo and you'll also find documentation. So there's a sample package there for you. If you click on the documentation, you'll get this sort of web page that gives you an overview about what it does and all the other stuff. There's three main sections that I'll only be looking at, which is the variable sync repository, position, and rotation syncs. So that's those ones there. So the variable sync repository is just a container where anything like from ints to floats to vectors, you just put it there from your other FSM. So like your position and your rotation, you just pretty much dump it and then it will sync over the network. So the way I did it for mine was, you can see that I do have a variable sync, so it's based pretty much on the documentation. But my variables have all the different joint information that I have. So all the joint stuff that I wanted to track, which is like the spine and that from the Pointman script from the Kinect solution. So what this is showing now is the position. The way you do the position from the documentation online, I just did the exact same thing except for each of the joints. And now you can see that I'm highlighting the FSM, which is the sync repository, that I'm actually syncing the information. So what I do is I get the vector position of the joint and then I just store it in this FSM under this variable. It's using the set FSM vector. So, and all the joint positions do the exact same thing. Now because I'm using the spheres, I just worried about only the position, not rotation. If you're doing it with an avatar, you'll want to sync the position and the rotation as well. Okay, so what I'm showing you now is you can also sync to position and rotation for the avatar. So if your avatar is moving around the game, not just static, so you're not just moving the arms and legs and the head, but you're actually moving them to different parts within your virtual world, then you'll have to sync the rotation and position as well. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how the insides of it. So you'll see this thing called vector lerp, which is just changing the position or the difference between sort of two variables over time. Again, this is all on the documentation online, so it was pretty much more tedious of a setup than anything else. Now the isMine one is just determining like who created it. Is it the player, like the local player, or if it's another player? And that's how it sort of works out what to do, and that's how you'll have to disable and enable the Kinect scripts as well. So again, that's pretty much just based on the variable sync repository and just the online position one as well. So you can do the same thing to a character model, but you won't just need to apply it to each of the joints. So right now what I'm doing is I'm looking to see what's the Kinect solution there. So I recorded this video in my office, and now I'm just doing the voiceover from home. So you can see I'm dragging and dropping the orc model from the NGUI package, and I'm just going to open it up and show you all the different joints. So you can see that inside the orc it has stuff like the spine and the arm and all that sort of stuff, and you'll just need to copy the position and rotation to each of those joints that you want to track. If you don't want to track all of them, just the head, then you just apply to the head. So it just depends what you want to do. So yeah, it's pretty much, it's just setup. You just need a variable sync, and then you will also need the photon views as well and the network views, so don't forget those ones. But it's more probably just a tedious setup than anything else. It shouldn't be too complicated to do. The next solution that I'll show you is one called Bolt. So this is new and it's actually pretty cool. So one thing to note though is, like, even though it says it's version 0.2 out, if you go onto the Bolt website, you'll see that you can if you actually email the developer, he'll actually give you access to the Git repository, and you can get the latest version. So I can see we're up to version 4.18 now compared to 2. And Bolt is actually a lot easier or less tedious to set up than Photon. So what you do is you create these states, and these states are kind of like your variable sync stuff that we did in the other one. And what you do is, so yeah, again, this is showing you like all the connect and all the join stuff that I did before. You can do the same thing here, where you just create an array and you just call it like bones, and you just say how much joints that you want to track. So again, you can create different variables. So if you select an array, you can then see the different types of arrays we can store. So this is actually a nicer setup, I feel. So we have the Kinect script with all the different joints. You'll have to just create a Bolt entity, which is so each prefab or anything you make over the network, like player stuff, you'll then need an entity for, and then you just sync it to the go state that you've seen. And then you can create simple scripts to determine if it was made by the client, like local player, or by a remote person. Again, that's using the Kinect solution before, exactly the same as in here. Yep. So you can see that all the joints that I want to track, I just make another script that's pretty much a duplicate of the previous one. So what this one does is it checks to see, well, if we're the owner, then we can turn on the local Kinect script, which will let us use it. But if we're not the owner, we just want to turn it off, so that way one player isn't the multiple Kinect are fighting with each other from different computers to try and control the same character. You'll get weird results. And now what I'm doing is I'm just creating all the variables and all the joints that I want to track, and then it's that easy. Just go like unattached, and then that will sync it to this array. Now, because I'm still working on this, and this is a working example, I had to actually edit, and you'll see me edit the file in a few minutes. But for example, we had in the state that we're using, the go state, we had it called bones, but in here you'll actually notice it's called avatar, and it's a bit confusing because in here I have a bone, but it turns out that what I did is I just linked the wrong state to this script, and I'll show you how it sort of works. If you guys want more information on how I sort of did this in more detail, let me know, and I'll see if I can sort of decide more time to sort of create one. So this is just me testing to see, well, what you can do. And normally you go like state, which is the state that you want to use, like where all your variables sync repository is, and you sort of access it that way. So in this way, I'm seeing avatar pop up, but not bones. And the reason for that is that at the top of the script, I should have said ghost avatar or iGhost avatar, and it was set to iGhost state. So you can see all the states in here. I actually have one called ghost state and hands and arms and so on. So these are just the different body parts that I'm tracking over the network, and I have different scenes to do different things. So I have one scene where you do full avatar, and I have another scene where you do only the arm. So this is one where I'm looking at the arm and set up the bones, and then because what I only want to do is I only want to track the shoulder joint and the elbow, and the reason being, I'm pretty sure I drag it out and I'll show you guys now. Yeah, so I'm only tracking 2 joint locations. So I just want to be able to track sort of the elbow and the arm and how they're moving it around in the world. So as you can see, like moving the lower arm and then the upper arm around and doing the interactions that way. So you can see that it's set to, in the avatar, it's bones, and you can see that it is actually set to avatar in the state mode. So I thought it might have been a compile thing. So with bolt, every time you write a script or every time you make prefabs, you can sort of compile it down, so you can then use it over the network. And then I'll go back once it's compiled, and I'll check inside Visual Studios to see if it actually worked, and then I noticed the state is actually named wrong. So you can see this is called, if you look at the actual ghost state, it does actually have one called avatar, whereas ghost avatar has one called bones. So yeah, so all I'm doing now is I'm just gonna change which state it's linked up to, and then just change the avatar to bones. Yeah, sorry. And then I'll just double check to make sure that I can actually make a state with bones in it, that I'm not just replacing the names needlessly just to show you guys. And then we can, I think I just built it in Visual Studios to make sure there was no errors, but Unity will have to compile it as well. So I'll have to wait for the spinning circle to stop. And then all you have to do is you compile the bolt assets. So you can see that bolt only came out quite recently, within the last couple of months, I believe. So before that I had to use Photon, but the problem with Photon is that I was doing it to the Photon cloud. You can use it, but I found that Bolt seems to be a lot smoother way of doing things. Like you can do everything through Playmaker with Photon, but Bolt will have support for Playmaker in the future. It's just trying to figure out how to do it. But you can see, like, coding wise, it's actually pretty straightforward, and Bolt will let you do latency and lag tests and stuff, so it has that built in, and you can see all the scenes, and you can if you have the Pro feature, you can do clients and so on. So I hope that was helpful to you guys, and if you want more tutorials, just let me know.